In his encyclical letter, Laudato Si, on care for our common home, Pope Francis writes, "All of us can cooperate as instruments of God for the care of creation, each according to his or her own culture, experience, involvements, and talents." John Kerry, the former Secretary of State and current U.S. Special Envoy for Climate, visited Pope Francis last month at the Vatican. He called the Pope one of the great voices on the climate crisis and even referenced Laudato Si, calling it a very, very powerful document. David Cloutier, Associate Professor of Moral Theology at the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C., calls the Pope's encyclical a historic document, but the message isn't coming out of nowhere.
Both Pope Benedict and St. John Paul II wrote significant sections of their encyclicals on the environment.
Cloutier says first and foremost, Laudato Si is a theological document, and Pope Francis wants to convey this message.
As he says specifically at one point in the document, we are not God. That recognizing and respecting an environmental order is about recognizing and respecting the fact that there is a creator and that we are creatures, that we inhabit an order that is larger than ourselves and that we need to show respect for that.
The Pope's 2015 encyclical calls for individual and collective approaches to address environmental difficulties. Cloutier wrote a faith formation guide, reading, praying, living Pope Francis's Laudato Si. And about an hour's drive outside the nation's capital in Ellicott City, Maryland, we found a place doing just that.
Here at Little Portion Farm, a ministry started by Franciscan friars, lay volunteers are working a few acres of land, taking the message of Laudato Si to heart.
Matt Jones is the farm and outreach coordinator at Little Portion Farm.
We've kind of adopted an idea from Laudato Si, which is to hear both the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor.
Food is grown here in an organic, sustainable way that restores the land. Then the produce is shipped to a Baltimore food pantry and given to those in need. Jones calls this a very tangible expression of caring for creation, and it benefits him as well.
It allows me to be reflective in this, peaceful space, feel connected to God.
This farm on the property of the Shrine of St. Anthony is playing a small part as big solutions are sought to address global environmental issues. In a video message at the White House Climate Summit in April, the Pope said, "We need to ensure that the environment is cleaner, more pure. It needs to be preserved. We must care for nature so that nature may care for us." But Cloutier says it's important to emphasize Laudato Si is not a partisan document, and the Pope isn't offering political solutions.
Especially in terms of what states should do, what individuals should do. Rather, he's asking us to recognize that we have to treat the environment in a certain way, and that we have not been doing that.
Whether inspired by Pope Francis or St. Francis, there are plenty of ways to care for creation. Across from Little Portion Farm on Franciscan land in Maryland, a field of solar panels.
To capture that sustainable energy. And so it's really something very Franciscan to do, and to praise God for the gift of the sun.
Franciscan friar Father Michael Heine says the call to love our common home came at the very beginning.
It goes back to Genesis, where when God created everything, he created humanity and gave humanity the job or the ministry to be stewards of creation.
Mark Irons, EWTN News in Depth.